this. Well, fast forward a couple years and I started hearing it and seeing it. So I looked it up. And guess what? You can. Just like people are adrenaline junkies, you can also get that's way more fun than anxiety. Um, but you can also get addicted. You get addicted to the biochemistry of it. Your body gets used to having those chemicals around. So it's always like, hey, there's a really good thing to become anxious about. But again, until I started really looking at myself, I didn't, I had no idea that I was such an anxious person. And it turns out I've actually lived most of my life in a state of anxiety. I just had no idea. So the hell do you do now? Here's some tips for coping with anxiety. This information is from the Mayo Clinic and lifehack.org. First, you need to know some of the symptoms. Oh, and actually, I'm going to add something to this. This is not in my notes, but you need to start paying attention to yourself. You need to start paying attention to if this is something that you're at all concerned about. If you're happy where you're at, don't have to pay attention to anything. But if you're wondering why the hell you struggle with your emotions, start paying attention. And don't just pay attention to, well, that made me mad. Well, okay, what about it made you mad? And pay attention to your physiological response because, well, I have a book that's called The Body Keeps a Score. And you know what? That's the most accurate title I've ever read in my life because the body does keep the score. And trust me, if you don't get a grip on this stuff, it can and will ruin your health. Exhibit A right here. So, what are some of the symptoms? Fatigue, restlessness, sweats, insomnia. I get horrible insomnia. Part of that's pain driven, but again, I don't think I don't think you can separate the two. I really don't. That's just my opinion. You get a sensation of an abnormal heartbeat. Oh my goodness, y'all. I've gotten way better, but I used to be such a nervous flyer that if I didn't take the Valium, I don't live very far from the airport, but if I didn't take the Valium far enough before I left for the airport, the whole like 5, 6 mile trip, I'd be thinking, oh my gosh, my heart's beating so fast. Am I having a heart attack? Should I get on the plane? And it would really go that fast. It was so crazy. And I realized when I'm like, oh my gosh, I am winding myself up. No wonder I don't like to fly. But yes, sensation of an abnormal heartbeat, hypervigilance, racing unwanted thoughts, irritability. I get bitchy when I'm really anxious. I'll own that. And hypervigilance. I said that, didn't I? Trembling. I rarely get so anxious that I tremble, thank goodness. But yeah, I keep my freakouts mostly internal. So how do you cope with it? You need to know, number one, that this is going to pass. This too shall pass. And chances are, truly, you're going to be just fine. Don't disregard your anxiety. And I've experienced this firsthand. If I try to just push it to the side, it amplifies because your body's trying to tell you something. You need to just remind yourself, okay, so I'm having some anxiety, but it's going to be fine. Maybe you got to give a big present. I had to do a video. I had to do a video for work today. And it's funny because I have like an outline, obviously, because I'm sure you guys can see me looking at my notes. I have an outline with notes, but I had to read an actual script. And it was such a bizarre sensation. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even want to watch it. I sent it off to the girl who's going to get it ready to go on the email list. And she was like, oh my gosh, you did that in one take. That's so cool. You did a really good job. Oh, thank goodness. I was really nervous about it. But you know what? I also knew no matter how that turned out, it has no bearing on who I am as a human being. It was just one thing. I could have redone it. I could have fixed it. It was not a big deal. If you got something big that you're facing, that you've got a big event and you're really nervous about it, maybe you get to go speak on a stage. Maybe you get to do a big presentation. Yes, I love that kind of stuff. I know I'm a weirdo. But maybe you are really nervous. Okay, so you go out there and maybe you trip and fall right on your ass in front of everybody. Embarrassing, yes. But you know what? They'll all remember you. So if you can get up, pull yourself together, and give a hell of a good presentation after that, they're all going to remember you and they're all going to talk about what an amazing presenter you are. But people aren't usually looking for a reason to come down on you. So just remind yourself whatever you're facing is only temporary. Take a couple of deep breaths. It's true. Take a couple of deep breaths. Look, anytime I have to go into a situation where I'm uncomfortable, believe it or not, I can get tremendous social anxiety. And I will just take a few minutes before I walk into that situation and take a few slow, deep breaths and center myself. And I remind myself, no matter how the night turns out, it's going to be fine. It's very little impact on who I am as a human being. Number two, you need to focus on your inner being because you have, like I was saying, you got to pay attention. You need to learn what your anxiety symptoms are. And then and when you learn to recognize them and you can catch them as soon as they start, guess what? It's a hell of a lot easier to rein it in before it escalates than, once you're in a full-blown anxiety attack. That's very difficult to rein in. But if you just catch yourself like, oh man, my mind is racing and my heart rate's accelerated and I'm getting myself all anxious. You need to figure out what works for you. Find some tools. For me, I just close my eyes and I take a few really slow, deep breaths. And I just tell myself this is going to be fine. And if I have to, I will self-talk my way through the entire situation. Maybe a mantra would work for you. What was it Stuart Smalley said? I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Look, whatever you got to tell yourself. But find some tools that are going to help you out. And as soon as you feel those symptoms starting, use your tool. Start your deep breathing. Start chanting your mantra to yourself. Start talking yourself through the situation. Number three, this one's probably the most important one on here, really. Tell your inner critic to shove it. How you talk to yourself, especially if you're going into a situation where you do have some anxiety, what you say to yourself is going to literally make you or break you. You need to understand truly that it's your choice whether you want to feel empowered or stressed by a situation. Empowered, what the hell? Hear me out. Think about it for a second. The physical symptoms of anxiety are very, very similar to the physiological symptoms of being excited. So you've got a big presentation to do and you're worried you're going to go out there and trip and fall on your ass. Instead of sitting there going, oh my God, I'm so anxious, I'm so anxious, I'm so anxious, tell yourself, oh my gosh, I am so excited and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to kick ass. Talk yourself up. That's your choice. That is your choice. Now that you have been given the information that it is essentially the same physiological reaction to excitement or anxiety, it's up to you to make that decision. But again, you got to pay attention. If you're trying to really figure yourself out, you're probably going to be really surprised at how many weird little things you find out. Like with me finding out that, oh my gosh, I actually am a rather anxious person overall. I had no idea. That's both the cool part and the horrifying part of working on yourself. Number four, if you want to cope with your anxiety, now this obviously is not going to be a quick fix, but you got to get healthy. Get off your ass and exercise. Look, if my achy fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's riddled ass, all kinds of other crazy ass problems, I get up and I exercise bare minimum 5 days a week, unless there's something weird going on. Usually 6. Once in a great while, I'll take Saturday off. Sunday's always my rest day. But if I can get up and exercise, don't come at me with excuses because I don't want to hear them. That's your choice. I don't care if you do or not. That's entirely up to you. I'm just telling you, don't give me excuses because I'm not going to buy them. Exercise is a great stress reliever. It's a great confidence builder. You know what else matters? Nutrition. It really does. I thought this was interesting. Foods rich in vitamin B, such as beef, chicken, leafy greens, nuts, or citrus, they can actually help keep your anxiety at bay. I really thought that was, I have a quote somewhere, Anne Wedgmore, or something like that. She says, food is either the safest form of medicine or the slowest form of poison, something like that. And it's really true. Our nutrition is everything. Look, if you're filling yourself full of just a bunch of empty calories and crap, you're not going to deal with life. as well as you could if you took better care of yourself and if you ate a little better. You sure as hell can't deal with anxiety very well if you're, if you're crammed full of caffeine and sugar. That's not going to work to lower your anxiety. You need to get your sleep. Damn it, this is one I struggle with. With my pain levels being what they are, and they always go up at night. And I asked my doctor I know I'm getting off, but I promise I'm gonna bring this back. I asked my doctor once though, because I think this is interesting. Why in the hell is my pain so much worse at night? It'll be pretty tolerable most of the day, and then when I go to bed, it's just like I get clobbered. I'm like, and of course that makes it really hard to go to sleep. And my doctor said because when you're going to bed, all the distractions of the day fall to the side, and it's just you and the pain and your mind. And there you go. That can be it's easy to chase that and fall into a big pit of anxiety and frankly depression and despair. But you need to get your sleep. If anxiety keeps you awake at night, I really recommend that you keep a journal next to your bed. Don't overthink it. Just get a little cheap notebook. Keep that in a pen or a pencil, whatever you prefer, next to your bed. And it really needs to be a notebook. It needs to be, there's something that happens when you take a pen to paper that you don't get from typing. Now, granted, typing, if that's your only solution, it's better than nothing. But there really is something kind of magical about taking a pen to paper. But get all those thoughts off your chest. Get it out of your system. I recommend highly you finish that journal with three positive things, three things that you're grateful for if you've just had kind of a word vomit all over the page about how horrible your day was, or maybe even if you're in a really bad spot, how horrible your life is, because sometimes we all fall prey to that. But try some yoga. I have such a love-hate relationship with yoga. It's very good for people with fibromyalgia. It's very good for people with Hashimoto's and with all of my hormone problems. But it's never a go-to because I like something that gets my heart rate up a little higher. That being said, I don't do it every night. I try to do it 4 or 5 nights a week. I do little short yoga at night. Right before I go to bed, I do a pull up yoga with Bird, and she's got a ton of short bedtime yoga videos. So I'll do anywhere between 10 and 25 minutes, depending on my mood, depending on what time it is. But that yoga really makes a difference in how calm my mind is when I go to bed, which of course that calm mind means I've got the anxiety at bay. Tai Chi is excellent. Tai Chi is considered moving meditation, I do believe. Yeah, it's Tai Chi. Or is it Qigong? One of them. I think they're kind of similar. I don't know much about either of them. I've dabbled with both. They are very relaxing. You should also shut your electronics down at least 30 minutes before bedtime. Now, I'll be really honest, that doesn't happen in my house. But I talked to a counselor about this once, and I said, by the way, side note, it wasn't a professional visit. We were we were in an accountability group together to work on ourselves, and we were talking about how important it is to get your sleep and to shut your electronics off. And I said, well, I understand that, but a lot of times I will put a timer on an Audible book, or I'll find a meditation on YouTube, and I use that to fall asleep. So obviously that means I'm in my electronics. And he said, yeah, but there's a big difference in your intention between going to Audible and setting a timer, or going to YouTube and looking for a meditation. And he's right. That's obviously, I'm looking for something to help me wind down and go to sleep. Whereas if I go and scroll social media, or I go and start looking up recipes, or whatever crazy stuff I decide to do at the wrong time, when I should be going to bed, that's a very different, sorry. It's a very different mindset, and it does make a difference. I really rambled there. Finally, the fifth tip to control your anxiety: do not ever, under any circumstances, do not give your power away to another person. I don't give a shit who it is, excuse my language, but I don't. You can't do that to yourself. Frankly, and it's not fair to the other person either, to be honest. You need to learn to let go of things you cannot control. And you know what you can't control? You can't control other people. So quit worrying about it. What other people think of you is it's only your business if you choose to make it your business. And it only matters as much as you choose to allow it to matter. Now, I know we all want to be liked. I get that. I definitely get that. But if somebody doesn't like you, so what? All that means is that frees up your time and attention for the people that do like you and the people that you like. That's all. That's how you got to look at that stuff. But you got to let it go. You have to remember that other people's opinions, they're irrelevant. Everybody's. Everybody's. They only carry as much weight as you allow them to. Your opinion is the only one you should really be concerned about. And you can learn how to control your anxiety. You can learn. One of the greatest gifts that we have in our life is the ability to change. So if you are an anxious person and you don't like it, fix it. Remember, whatever you're facing that's making you anxious, it's going to pass. Chances are you're going to come out pretty unscathed. You might embarrass yourself, but so what? Everybody does that. You need to focus on your inner being and learn to recognize your symptoms for anxiety. Because if you can learn to recognize them, you can cut that off before it even gets started. It's so much easier to cut it off before it gets out of control. You need to tell your inner critic to shove it. Give the bitch the night off. You don't need that. The ubiquitous they say we have 50 to 70,000 thoughts, 70,000 thoughts a day. English is my first language. And for a lot of us, I think for most of us, we have an overwhelmingly negative inner critic. And so you're literally immersed in negativity, in self-driven negativity all day. You've got to learn how to tell your inner critic to shut the hell up. Keep positive notes and affirmations handy. Set alarms in your phone. 9:00, your alarm goes off and reminds you that you wanted to be focused today. Noon, the alarm goes off and it reminds you that you wanted to be happy today, or whatever the hell speaks to you. There are so many things that you can do, little things that you can do on your own to start working on yourself and on your mental health. Don't be a victim. Even if you've had horrible things happen to you, being a victim, yeah, maybe horrible shit happened to you, but why are you going to give those people the power? Which brings us back to point number 5. Don't give your power away. Don't give your power away and get healthy. You should get healthy anyway. Because, that's another thing. Boy, I wish I would have been able to get a grip on that before shit got out of control. But I didn't. So anyway, that's all I have. I know it was rambling. I don't know, y'all. I don't know what the hell is going on, but I'm just not feeling like myself. Hell, I'm coming up on a year anniversary since my mom passed. I know that's a big part of it, but I don't know. Anyway, today's Wednesday. I will be, nothing ruins my Friday more than realizing it's only Wednesday. I will be back Friday at 5:00 Alaska time. I hope you'll have a great night and I will see you Friday. Thanks. Whoops.